Good afternoon to everyone, and a very warm welcome to this webinar on tools and the technologies for resilient transport sector. My name is Idano. I'm a transport specialist at the Asian Development Bank. The webinar is co-organized by ADB and the government of Japan through the Ministry of Environment, or MOEJ, and the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, METI. This is a joint event under ADB's Green Roads webinar series, and the virtual brown bag sessions on tools and technologies for climate change adaptation and disaster risk management in Asia and the Pacific. Special thanks to Yuko Yoshida and Yuki Namata from MOEJ and Takumi Sakai from METI. Thank you very much. This webinar series aims to strengthen the knowledge and the understanding among policymakers, project managers, and practitioners on the issue of climate change and disasters to help them recognize the economic benefits of investing in climate change adaptation and disaster resilience. And hopefully we can raise awareness on available and emerging technologies for risk-informed decision-making and building climate and disaster resilience. So for today's webinar, we will focus on the transport sector. It will discuss the importance of tools and technologies in improving the transport sector's climate resilience and also ADB's approach and strategies in integrating climate resilience. So we will showcase 4 Japanese companies which will feature innovative technology solutions to help promote the sector's resilience. Before we start the presentation, I would like to invite Sugar to launch a Zoom poll activity first. Sugar.
Thanks, Eden. Mark, can we launch the Zoom poll? So in this part of the webinar, I'd like for everyone, our participants, to answer the questions. We have prepared 3 questions, some interesting facts on transport sector and climate change. So I'll give you a couple of minutes just to answer these 3 questions, and then later we can see what was the answers of most of our participants. Yeah. While we're still waiting, so the first question we are asking, in the region, how much is the estimated annual damage due to disasters brought by natural hazards? And the second question is, how much annual investment is needed in the transport sector to maintain growth, tackle poverty, and respond effectively to climate change by 2030? And the third question is the share of transport sector to global greenhouse gas emissions. So I see that many of our participants are still answering the question. Let's wait for another 30 seconds before we wrap up this poll questions. All right, so I can see that in question number 1, in terms of the annual damage caused by natural hazards. So based on UNDP report, the damage caused by climate change in the region is enormous. It is estimated that disasters cost the region by around 675 billion every year. So I think most of the audience have answered correctly, 675 billion. And on question number 2, annual investment needed in the transport sector. Based on ADB report, this is about 557 billion annually, which is needed based on climate-adjusted estimates. In this report, it mentions that developing Asia will need to invest 1.7 trillion per year until 2030 if the region is to maintain growth, tackle poverty, and respond effectively to the impacts of climate change. And more than 30% of this 1.7 is needed in the transport sector. This is equivalent, as I've said, to 557 billion for climate-adjusted estimates annually. Yeah, I think many of you answered 675 billion. Okay. But this is about 500, okay. 550, many of you answered 700 billion. But that's fine. On question number 3, what is the share of transport sector to global greenhouse gas emissions? And most of you answered it correctly. It's about 24%. The Carbon Finance reported that in 2019, the transport sector is responsible for about 24% of global greenhouse gas emission due to fuel combustion. The sector has the highest, one of the fastest rates of increases in CO2 emissions, with 35% increase over the last 10 years. And CO2 emissions from the transport sector are growing fastest in the Asia, which requires us to do urgent action to address this challenge. Yeah, I think, well, I hope that was interesting for everyone. To start in our presentation, I'm asking Eden to continue in our webinar. Eden?
Thank you, Sugar. That's very helpful, insightful figures. I hope you found that very interesting. So next, we'll move to our presentations and discussions. So before the presentations from the Japanese technologists, I would like to invite my colleague, Mike Aniela, a senior road asset management specialist from ADB. Michael will present us ADB transport sector strategy for integrating climate resilience. Hi, Michael, the floor is yours now. Thank you.
I hope you can see my presentation.
Yes, we can see it, Michael.
Right, so as you then said, so I'm from the transport sector group at ADB, and I just want to introduce you to our approach to integrating climate resilience through our projects. So I just first wanted to highlight the fact that the impacts of climate change is real in Asia and the Pacific. So records actually show that from 2015 to 2022, over 800 million people who have been affected in the region by national disaster, with fatalities of over 40,000. And these figures covers ADB's regional member countries. So I think there are 49 regional member countries. And within our development member countries, during this period, losses of up to 400 billion have been recorded. Now, I think these figures are actually probably an underestimate of overall losses because this only covers property, crops, and livestock. So it really shows that the impact is huge. And then if you look at the diagram on the right, so this shows Asia's share of global indicators for transport. I just want to highlight that globally, within Asia, the population is about 60% of the global population, with a GDP of about 50%. However, if you look at, for example, the length of roads in Asia compared to global, it's only about 30%. So which shows that there's really still a demand for more road investments. And some of this will be very relevant for actually improving climate resilience because in some countries, communities are not yet fully connected. Now, on the other side, the estimated damage to road infrastructure is 65% of global, which is huge. For ports, it's about 40%, so that may look a bit low. But then if you look at the expected annual damage to trade, is up to 70%. So it just demonstrates the importance of needing to address climate resilience within the transport sector in our region. Then let's look at the financing gap for infrastructure. And I think these figures were actually discussed as part of the question that Suka just shared recently. So what I've highlighted is the transport sector's investment needs annually up to 2030. So if we are to estimate investment needs without taking into account climate change, that would be around 520 billion US dollars required annually. With climate change included, we need 557 billion, and the 37 billion shown is the additional requirement for climate change. So what it means is that every year we need to at least invest about 37 billion to address climate resilience within transport systems. The big question here is obviously, well, two big questions. One is, where does the funding come from? And then the second one is, where is the best place to invest this 37 billion to ensure that we're maximizing resilience? So this is where really we as transport stakeholders and experts and governments need to work very hard to ensure that these investments go in the right place to ensure that we're maximizing every dollar in terms of improving our transport systems, but also improving resilience. And the pictures below just show you recent observations in Mongolia, where we are beginning to see the impacts of permafrost on the roads and also other infrastructure. Then let me just talk a little bit more about our transport sector portfolio. I just want to highlight here that if you look at the graph below, there's been a rising trend in terms of transport investments by the Asian Development Bank. So starting from the 1990s, where we're investing under $1 billion per year, up to now, where our investments average around 4.5 billion a year. But another trend to really point out is the composition of that investments. So in the early years of the bank, a lot of these investments were on the road sector. So those are the blue segments you see in the bar charts. But from around 2010, we started to see a growth in other subsectors, namely railways and urban. And this also demonstrates the kind of demand we are receiving from our client governments to invest in more sustainable forms of transport. So the pie charts here show, again, the investment trends, but on an annual basis from 2020 to the pipelines that we are able to see in 2024. And what I really wanted to point out is that here you can see that in 2021 and 2022, the figures at the top, I mean, 2020 and 2021, there was a dip in investments. And this is because, obviously, these were the COVID periods, and some of the investments were being channeled to address the health sector. For 2022, we're again seeing more growth in transport sector investments. The figure of 2023 needs to be updated because we have real figures. It's a little bit less than 6 billion, but the key message is that we expect investments in transport sector by the ADB to grow to 6 billion and beyond in the coming years. Another point to mention is that a lot of our big investments for projects come from either the railway sector or the urban sector. These projects take time to prepare. So that's why the graphs you see are quite lumpy, because if we invest in a railway project, it's committed, then it's a big investment. But actually it takes a long time for that investment to become committed because of the preparation time. Right, so let's then look at how our investments support climate change. So within ADB, we have now been rebranded as the Asia and the Pacific Climate Bank. And to that effect, ADB has ambition to actually deliver 100 billion in climate financing for both mitigation and adaptation by 2030, and this is cumulative climate financing. In addition, 75% of our operations, in terms of number, will support climate mitigation and adaptation by 2030 on a 3-year rolling average. And then from July of last year, all our sovereign operations must align to the goals of the Paris Agreement of climate change. In addition, ADB has already published the Climate Action Plan, which guides us on how we can support our developing countries to improve their climate goals. So the figures on the left shows the climate mitigation adaptation figures by ADB for 2023. And what you can see is that the transport sector contributes the most in terms of climate adaptation. This is a historical trend. A lot of that comes from the mitigation, with, at the moment, relatively a small proportion of the total from adaptation. Now, the table on the right compares climate adaptation figures for 2022 and 2023. And I want to really highlight particularly the difference. So what you can see is that for transport sector, in 2023, we actually had about 80 million more in terms of climate adaptation. However, that's only 14% increase compared to, let's say, the other sectors. Now, there's always a reason why other sectors probably had a very big increase. My suspicion is because last year, ADB adopted a new guidance on how we count climate financing. And this requires for transport that we have to demonstrate the impact of a transport investments on wider climate resilience of a network or of a system. And for the transport sector, we're still working very hard to ensure that we have the methodology that ensures that we are demonstrating this impact. So in years to come, we expect that investments, climate financing for transport sector will improve. Then to discuss then how do we actually integrate climate resilience within transport, I just have this simple diagram, which shows, 3 particular ways in which adaptation can be mainstreamed within the transport sector. So number one, part of the option could be to actually reduce the intensity of hazards. So in this example, for example, the adaptation option could be, can we actually raise the level of this dike to ensure that we can reduce the intensity of the flooding that would occur the road network. Then the other option is to look at how can we actually adapt the actual infrastructure, in this case, road infrastructure. So you can obviously make it stronger to try and mitigate against the impact of the hazard, or you could actually build better drainage in this context to ensure that you can get some relief. And then the third option could be then to look at, say, how can we make the actual network, transport network, more efficient in terms of maintenance, improving the network functionality as well. And then on the fourth adaptation option is looking at really how can we think differently about adapting our transport systems. So let's give an example. Let's say we have a community that is connected by a single road, but that road is quite vulnerable to flooding. So one option is, okay, let's build a better road that's not vulnerable, so that's one. But another option could be, from a system perspective, can we try and provide services that the community actually need, critical services for them in that locality, so that they don't need to travel to access them elsewhere. So this is kind of like the system thinking we have to start thinking about. So within ADB, we are trying to say, we obviously need to make road infrastructure at the asset level resilient, but then we have to understand what's the impact of addressing the resilience of this road project on the wider system, because that will improve wider system resilience. So we're carrying out a number of studies in countries on multi-hazard risk assessments to try and understand at a network level and system level, where are the key critical roads and transport links that are important for addressing resilience? And then what are the impacts of multi-hazards on these, so that we can identify those upfront. The idea with this is that we can then have discussions with our client countries so that these particular investments go into their programs. And this is the way in which we can be able to mainstream resilience in a manner that will maximize every dollar that countries invest in their transport systems. So to finalize, I also want to share with you that we have lots of toolkits and also publications that can guide ADB teams, private sector, stakeholders to understand how we mainstream climate resilience. One of those is the Green Roads Toolkit. So this is forthcoming to be published soon. So we invite you to explore this. It includes good case studies on how to address climate resilience, and it's actually the inspiration for this Green Roads webinar series. And then also this Asian Transport Outlook, which is already published, available on the ADB website, where it's very, very good policy guidance on the key policies that countries could actually implement, and also all the other documents. So I'll stop here for now and hand back to Yidan. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, for the insights to brief us the ADB strategy. So without further ado, let's move on to the next session on the presentation of tools and technologies by the Japanese firms. We have invited 4 private companies to present their technologies, which we hope will be useful for the audience as you develop your projects in the sector. So just a reminder that each speaker will be given 5 minutes of presentation and then another 5 minutes for questions and answers, making it total 10 minutes for each. So audience, please use the Q&A box to enter your questions anytime. And please don't forget to indicate the speaker to whom your question is addressed. At the end, we will have a panel discussion where we can also go through some general or specific Q&A questions. In case we run out of time to answer all the questions, the speaker can also answer them in the background. So our first speaker is from Ecosystem, Mr. Takata Minoru, who will feature us the technology on recycled waste roof tiles used as bricks for road pavements. So Takata, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Let me show my slide. Can you see my slide? Okay. Okay. Hello. Oh, it's good to see you all here today. My name is Takata from Ecosystem. The topic of today's presentation is aiming for sustainable urban development with a focus on turning construction waste into functional pavement by recycling bricks and roof tiles. First of all, our company's goal is to convert cities around the world into recycle-oriented future cities. In developed and developing cities, as urbanization progresses, many areas will be covered with concrete and asphalt. This is a growing issue. As a result, there are concerns about the urban heat island effect, extremely hot night, unexpected heavy rains, and flooding in cities. As a countermeasure against climate change, we propose paving materials made from upcycled waste roof tiles and bricks, as well as our know-how. About 1 to 2 million tons of waste roof tiles are generated every year in Japan. Most of this end up in landfills. We crush roof tiles and we produce roof tile chips like gravel and sand. We sell these as gardening materials, or we produce paving materials and do the installation work. Paving materials are sold under the brand name K-Ground.
Sorry to interrupt you, Takata, but can you make the full screen of your presentation? It appears a bit small.
Okay. How about this? Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
The important point is that roof tiles are very porous. Porous concrete made with this roof tile aggregate has high water permeability and water retention. This creates a load surface with low heat storage properties, suppressing the urban heat island effect. At the same time, its water permeability function helps reduce urban flooding. Water is said to circulate, but the permeability of surfaces in cities is being decreased. So heavy rains due to climate change may lead to urban flooding. Our recycled papers are permeable and water retentive, reducing urban flood damage. These are our installation examples, like this park and like this brothers. Here we say that the roof tile pavement is cool. As you can see from the thermography in this slide, our paving material is much cooler than asphalt or concrete. Since waste roof tiles are generated throughout Japan, we built a local production for local consumption nationwide, a franchise network for recycling waste roof tiles. Both roof tiles and bricks are ceramic products made by firing clay at high temperatures. If they are fired, hard materials, our know-how can be used to process them. This is the usage of roof tiles and bricks in the world. Many countries use a lot of bricks and roof tiles like this. Instead of disposing of waste roof tiles, bricks, etc., in landfills or illegally dumping them, we partner with local companies to transform them into functional paving materials. This is a table summarizing our overseas expansion. Investigations are currently underway in 4 countries, Vietnam, Bolivia, Peru, Nepal. This is an overview of the research we have been conducting in Vietnam. Since there is a large amount of information, I will not go into details, but it is very likely to be realized. Supporters of this FS are MOEJ and METI. And this is the research situation in Bolivia. Supporters of this FS are JICA and AOTS. In January of this year, we conducted a survey in Nepal as part of an UN Habitat project. This slide is a trial of visualization, and ultimately, we will verify how much our efforts are contributing to the environment in numbers. This slide shows that this project has been picked up by METI as a good practice of adaptation business. We are very grateful. This is a summary slide. We hope that our construction waste recycling know-how and paving material know-how can be expanded with the support of various organizations. And as a result, we can contribute to the world. And that is all for my presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Insightful presentation and informative to us. We have 2 minutes left for your session, so maybe just one quick question. I think the audience will be interested to know that in terms of price, cost, is your product like more expensive or cheaper compared to the conventional products or technologies?
Okay. Our company's Yamada will answer your question. Yamada-san.
Hello, my name is Masaru Yamada. Because the morning of university. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, everyone?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. I will answer your questions. The paving materials currently sold in Japan are slightly more expensive than rival products. In terms of overseas actions, we are considering selling products at the same price range as existing product until the added value of water permeability, water retention, and recycling is recognized. That's all.
Thank you very much. We actually have a few more questions coming, but due to the time constraint, we may save it to the later Q&A and panel discussion session. Or please feel free to address them in the Q&A box, so we can move on to the next session. Our second presenter is from Nippon Koi, Mr. Sakura Akihito, who is the forest engineer with the International Environmental Department from Nippon Koi. He has engaged in overseas development projects in the fields of forest and watershed management, environmental and social sector in Southeast Asia, South Asia, Middle East, Africa, and Pacific Islands. He has commenced working for biological soil craft from 2018 and engaged in JICA projects in Nepal and Malaysia for his demonstration. So Mr. Sakura will present us the BSC technology.
Oh, thank you. Hello, can you hear?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay. And you can also see my presentation.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I would like to explain about the soil erosion prevention and vegetation recovery by using soilology. Just a moment. So I think it's very new term for you, BSC, so biological soil crust. This is the natural phenomenon in the it functions of BSC are known from existing reports as follows. One is erosion control and the acceleration of vegetation recovery, and the retention of moisture in the soil, and acceleration of growth of crops. Then we identify soilology with high erosion prevention capacity. Then our cooperating company, Dickinson Hosher, has developed culturing technology of this soilology. Then what we use for the BSC method is just dried soilology and mixed with fertilizer, fiber, adhesive, and water. Then we can spray this material by hydroseeder and also water pump. Then BSC functions has how to say to cap. This is the experimental test in the laboratory. Then BSC has the functions to capture soil particles. Then this is the mechanism of works of algae. Then sorry. If when rain drops, usually water run off on the surface, then together with soil particle on the surface. However, if BSC has developed on the surface is protected by a network of algae. then the runoff of soil or soil particles are reduced. Then this is the feature of BSC method. So as this soil algae is inhabit in the all over the world, I will show you the distribution map later. But so soil algae we use for the BSC method is cosmopolitan species. So the species soil algae we can see in the world are completely same. So that's why. Then also this soil algae propagate through clone. So that's why no hybrid with ordinal soil algae which inhabit in some other places. Then BSC method can prepare good environment for grass seeds on the surface of the soil by stopping erosion of the soil surface and also keep moisture, and they capture the seeds which fly into the surrounding area. So that's why the seeds captured on the surface can grow faster compared to other ordinal places. Then this is the distribution map of soil algae. So as you see, the soil algae for use for the BSC method inhabit all over the world. Then this is the sample of photos of the implemented area on the slope collapse along forest road in Japan. So middle photo shows the situation after 3 months spraying. Then the seeds flying from the surrounding area settled on the slope, on the BSC applied slope, then they can grow. Then now, as I explained, we conducted some demonstrations outside of Japan. So one is in Nepal and Malaysia in cooperation with JICA. Then left side is BSC applied area. So right photo is non-applied area. So after 1 month spraying, very high intention rainfall occurred. So before rainfall, the situation is completely same. But after rainfall, this non-BSC area expanded erosion, but on the BSC applied area, no expansion of erosion. And also after 6 months, some species, some plant species could settle on the BSC applied area. So this is the comparison of BSC method with other vegetation recovery acceleration methods. Then actually, in case of hydroseeding or seed covering, mat covering, actually it's easy to, actually not, they need earthwork before applying. And also some skilled worker needed and some special equipment are needed. However, in case of BSC method, no earthwork, no leveling of the slope necessary, and also very simple equipment like a water pump can be used for spraying, and of course we can use hydroseeder. Then, in case of using general equipment, no need a skilled worker. So that's why, and also we can combine with other products to get more effective results than existing method only. So this is the example of combination of existing method. Then those two photos above are the result of BSC method combined with hydroseeding. So right side is the applied area, then left side is ordinal hydroseeding area. Then two photos lower is the result of the combination with vegetation sheet. So before applying BSC, vegetation there was not in good condition, but after applying BSC, the vegetation recovered quickly. Then this is also one of the combination with vegetation sheet. This is the new products, and this may be explained by Takino Filter-san after me, more detail. Then this is sample of photos which recently started to conducted in Japan. So BSC materials can be sprayed through helicopter and also radio control helicopter. Then we also conducted trial to spray by drone. But anyway, if using helicopter, we can apply our method onto the very remote area, landslide area in the very remote area. So yes. Actually, this is my last slide. So thank you very much. If you are interested in the our method, yeah, please keep in touch with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Akihito. As we are slightly behind the schedule, we will skip the specific Q&A for this session, but save it to the later panel discussion. And also a friendly reminder to the audience for posting your question in Q&A session, as there are quite a number of questions coming. So please state clearly to whom your question is addressed, because we'll come back later. It might be a bit confusing sometimes to whom the question is addressed. So if I may move to the next speaker from Takino Filter, Mr. Yoshihiro Tamura, who is in the International Division Assistant Manager of Takino Filter. He will share with us their technology on erosion control mats.
Okay. Can you see our PowerPoint?
Yes, but can you make it a full screen?
Full screen. Not full screen.
No, we can only see, yeah, it's a editing screen.
Yoshihiro-san, if you can see in the lower right side of your screen, there's a function on full on the view of a full presentation. Not that one. We are seeing presentation notes.
Not full screen.
Not full screen yet.
No. No way.
There, it is presentation mode now. Yoshihiro-san.
Not full screen on your side?
It's full screen now. It works.
Ah,
So you
okay,
can
okay.
see.
So
Thank you.
sorry. Yeah. So I have to talk fast. Good afternoon. This is Takino Filter. My name is Yoshihiro Tsumura. It's a great pleasure to have an opportunity to make a presentation titled Prevention of Slope Hazard by Erosion Control Maps. Asian countries have been accelerating the development of their land and infrastructure for these years. Meanwhile, natural disasters caused by climate change still continue to be a serious threat. In this context, both at the construction sites and disaster scenes, slope protection is one of the urgent issues. We, Takino Filter, will be able to make a contribution in this field of slope protection, even outside Japan. We'd like to present our original product called erosion control mat as a solution. This mat is not a kind of ordinary vegetation sheet or mats, but it is drainage material that can prevent soils from runoff. It is a mat made of non-woven polyester fibers, works like a filter with 97 to 98% of persistent porosity. And its fine drainage prevents slope erosion by water invasion. This is a unique method for slope protection that is different from ordinary vegetation mats, sheets, or hydroseeding. The mat is made of non-woven polyester fibers, what we call web, that intertwine with the subsoil. Consequently, the mat adhere tightly to the slope. This mat-like filter restrains the water from permeating into the soil and makes the most of the water drain through the inside of the mat or on the surface of the mat. We'll show you an example of the difference on the sandy soil slope. This photo shows superiority of erosion control mats installed at the center of the slope. And at both sides of erosion control mat, ordinary vegetation sheets are laid. After 150 millimeters of rain in a day, the vegetation sheets has got terribly damaged by water invasion. Contrastingly, as you see, the ideal drainage of erosion control mat has been keeping the slope as it had been. We'd like to also say it's so easy to install the mat. No need to any special skill. No need to operate any special tool nor machine. Just prepare scissors, hammer, and pegs. Erosion control mat will be effective to sites like these: sandy soil and volcanic ash soil. They are very friable to rainfall. Red clay is not so friable, but once it flows out into the sea, it spoils precious ecosystems and landscape. For example, tourism industry must be important for each country. However, both development and environmental protection should be planned and satisfied at the same time. This is one of our domestic sites, Kumamoto in South Japan. A big earthquake attacked Kumamoto in 2016. It caused large-scale landslide over 140,000 square meters. But today, the site has been recovered and erosion control mats has been still protecting the slope with a beautiful revegetation. This is the case outside Japan. Recently, Takino Filter is conducting a demonstration project in the Philippines, where rainfall and temperature are higher than in Japan. As a result, the greening has been realized faster than initially expected. The DPWH has highly evaluated its results. On the other hand, Takino Filter about to give seminar for local engineers in various regions of the Philippines to raise general awareness of slope disaster prevention technology. Lastly, please note, Takino Filter will be able to offer a higher level performance in collaboration with the Nippon Koei-san. Our erosion control mat combined with the Nippon Koei's BSC, biological soil crust, will be able to bring more effective solution for these issues. The speech time is so short, and if any question or more detailed information, please feel free to contact later. Thank you very much for kind attention. Thank you. Selamat.
Thank you so much, Kimura-san. We do have quite many interesting questions. We will come back to you in a short while. Next, I would like to invite our final speaker, Mr. Kiyohara Hirota from Kokusai Gyokyo, to brief us the technology of geospatial information and the technical slope disaster management.
Thank you. Well, let me see. Okay. Can you see?
Yes, we can see. Please
So,
proceed.
so my name is Kiyohara Hirota from Kokusai Kogyo Company Limited. So I'd like to talk about application of the bioengineering in Bhutan, tools for landslide disaster risk reduction. So we are now working at Bhutan. So this is a part of our activity. Contents: introduction, bioengineering of JICA project in Bhutan. Appendix 1. One, two, three. But I will not explain introduction in appendix 1 to 3 because this is short time to talk about the bioengineering of JICA project in Bhutan. So I'd like to share PowerPoint materials with you. So please look at them later. This is general introduction for its bioengineering. So breathing technique, cover system. Bioengineering is including the cover system. Okay, now let's start. So we selected the 3 places for bioengineering. First, Gantanka slope. Second, Yankee slope, and Gopin slope ongoing under construction now. 1, 2, 3. Well, let's see. Purpose and application. The introducing vegetation works are being carried out at the bioengineering that the construction on 3 cut slopes on Bhutan's national highways, Gangtanga slope, Yankee slope, and Gopin slope. But the final goal is to apply the work to other regions. So to stabilize the surface soil on the cut slope with the vegetation, it is necessary to install an adequate drainage system. However, in this joint webinar, the drainage system will not be explained. This is the table. I'd like to talk about 6 vegetation work method: linear planting, over planting, transplantation over germination bed at first trial slope gun tank, and for gabion cap planting, stepped planting, and laminate seed planting without seeds at second trial slope Yankee. Introduce the contents as applicable construction method as follows. First trial slope 1, linearly planting over planting, transplantation over germination bed, and the second trial slope gathering cap planting, stepped planting, and laminated seed planting without seed. This is the method that first trial slope gun tank. Linear planting, over planting, transportation of the germination plant. This is the linear planting, over planting, transplantation of the germination bed. AES shows the slope before vegetation works, and the finished vegetation work B. This photograph shows. And so after vegetation work, 1 month later, this state. 4 months later, this state. It is a flourish of planting. This shows a linear planting. Method of function prevents infiltration by creating space leaks of vegetation, prevent erosion, and promoted plant invasion and established here. Font view, section view, and procedure of type A. One, installing a deformed steel bar here. Installing a wooden board here. Placing jute net. Premixing seeds, soil, and fertilizer here. Placing soil portion. Placing soil with seed and fertilizer. Folding and covering with jute net. Fixing a jute net with live stakes. Yeah. Second, overall planting. Method and function. Cover the entire area with vegetation at an early stage to prevent erosion and suppress collapse due to frost heaving. For this reason, grass seeds are first used with the aim of early germination. Application issues. Pay attention to dryness of the slope surface and perform water sprinkling during maintenance. This is the font view, the second section view. Procedure of type B. Installing a deformed steel bar. Installing wooden board for mixing seeds and seeds, soil, and fertilizer preparation. Placing soil with seeds and fertilizer with a thickness of 5 cm at every 20 cm. More than 5 cm thickness, planting is dying. 5. Placing jute net and covering soil. 6. Fixing Jutnet with live stick. Repeating the process from 4 to 6. And third, plantation of the germination bed. Method and function. Transplanting existing vegetation. This ensures that the plants take root on the slope. This method is basically carried out on the embankment slopes, but this time it was constructed on cut slopes. Application issues. The issue is whether it is possible to obtain a germinating bed that it is equivalent to the vegetation coverage on the slope. Procedure of this type C. Cut the long grass at the yard of Robert's regional office of road division. Cut into 20 centimeter square size with at least 5 centimeter thickness of soil and transport to the construction site. 3. Install deformed steel bars and wooden boards as same as type A, type B. Sprinkling water on the slope to moisture the soil. And place the grass on the slope regularly. Another site at the second trial slope Yankel 456 gabion cap placing planting stepped planting and laminate seed planting without seeds. Gabion cap planting method and the function are placed Jutnet and 5 diameter 20 to 40 crusher on the 20 centimeter upper part of the gabion and put a cap with soil, seed, and fertilizer on the gabion. This allows for vegetation to grow on the top of the gabion, and the gabion itself doesn't receive a direct rainfall. Application issues. Deformed steel bars are inserted into the ground to strengthen the foundation of the gabion here. This is the section view. Vegetation cap here. This is the under construction of a vegetation cap. 5. Stepped planting here. A method and the function. Steps with the height of 10 centimeter will be installed at the slope of 1.2 here, and the exposed area will be planted with vegetation here. It keeps small high angle slope stability, slopes stable. Application issue. The slope gradient and the range must be determined according to the site conditions. It is best to lay non-woven fabric on the installing slope to provide the range functionally. It's better. And the last one, laminate seed planting without seed. Method and function. Create a 3-layer laminate seed with a plastic mesh net sandwich between jute net. These are installed in areas that are prone to collapse, such as the shoulders of slopes, to prevent erosion and collapse. Application issues. The product introduced here doesn't contain seeds in a laminated seed. Currently, we are planning to try putting the seed in a laminated seed at the third trial site, Lopini. Thank you for attention. So I will show the image diagram, the vegetation type A, type B, type C, the slope before vegetation works, finish the vegetation works.
Okay, thank you very much,
Yeah.
Hirota-san, for your
Yeah.
presentation. We are a little bit behind schedule, so we might
Okay.
go strictly to some of the specific questions asked by the audience. So the question,
Pardon me.
to what depth do you feel that soil bioengineering is effective in terms of stabilization of the soil and or slopes? To what depth of soil bioengineering do you feel it's effective? To what depth do you feel that soil
Effective, yeah, I think it is effective for against the soil slope. But now we are trying at the gravel slope. So now, so everywhere, and I think it is it can be installed plantation, I think.
Okay, thank you, Hirota-san. I hope that somehow addressed the question. So if I may invite all the speakers to back to the panel for a quick short discussion where we can post all the interesting questions, some of the interesting questions from the audience. Yeah. So if I may start with the first question. This question is actually to Takino filter. What kind of plastic is used in erosion control mats? And will there be a concern over the use of plastic for such purpose?
Polyester.
Polyester. So
Polyester,
will there be any use of plastic or any concern in using plastic? Well, I assume it's a yes question.
Yeah, the main material is polyester, and enforced by polyethylene net, but mainly polyester. And if you are worried about some hazardous substance for environmental environment, as a result of examination conducted by an independent agency in Japan, an independent organization in Japan, our products have obtained a certificate which proves that no hazardous substance contained. So please do not be worried. Do not worry.
Okay, thank you so much, Chumera-san. Since you are here, so a relevant question regarding the Takino filter. I think you have briefly touched this in the chat box, but can you elaborate? How well can seeds germinate and grow through the erosion control mat?
Yeah, our mat, just like flexible filter or net, so there are many enough spaces for seeds to enter into or extend roots into soils and grow up.
Thank you.
Understand?
Yeah, Chumera-san. Yeah. Thank you so much for the answer. So if I may go back to ecosystem, this question is quite interesting regarding the durability and the longevity of the payments of using roof tiles aggregates in pavement. So would you like to elaborate a bit more on this durability issue?
社長が回答したい件じゃないですか。あ、いいよ。Your question is that
The the durability of your proposed roof tile, waste roof tile, used as the aggregates in pavement. Is it durable in last for how long, and also as any cost implication in the installation and maintenance issue?
maybe Takata answered this question, but I repeat it. In Japan, it is provided as a paving material for sidewalks. We have confirmed that it is currently durable for over 20 years. In order to improve water permeability, we must take proper measures to improve the underlying pavement composition. Initial costs tend to be slightly higher than existing ones. However, the more you use it, the cheaper it becomes. In Japan, the initial cost is on par with rival products. Running costs are the same as the current one. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. I think you've provided us the good reference for over 20 years of application. Next question, it's actually a very interesting to three speakers on this technology application. So do you think how can we have a combination of the solutions for slope protection in steep mountains, for example, soil, algae, erosion control mats, and bioengineering? I think it's a kind of a question to all speakers, how technologies you believe can be combined to provide a holistic solution for such kind of steep slopes. Feel free to unmute yourself and give us some thoughts.
Okay, thank you very much. So our technology is soilology, but actually, as I explained to you and also explained by Technofilter-san, so our technology BSC and Technofilter mat has been already. We have combined new products combined with Technofilter and the BSC. So that's why, yes. Yeah, we can combine these technologies into the one area. Yes, I think.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think since there are some already combined efforts already. So if anyone would like to supplement. All right, if not, I might move back to Nippon Koi. This is a question you briefly touched in the chat box. So does the BSC method have to stay moister? Will it die if the condition dries out? And Kido-san, you.
Yeah, actually, BSC itself can grow even the dry conditions, but actually the growth rate is a bit lower than ordinary conditions. However, as shown in my presentation, in case of Nepal, that area, after spray BSC, the temperature grown up to over 40 degrees centigrade, but after 1 month, the functions to protect soil surface are maintained. So it means the soil algae can grow even under such high temperature conditions. So, but however, in case of seeds flied from surrounding area, those seeds, the growth of those seeds a bit not accelerated because of dry, no moist. But the soil algae itself, the function of BSC itself can be maintained even under the dry conditions. Yes.
Thank you
that's
so
all.
much, Akito-san. Yeah, that's yeah, we have time for a few more questions. Maybe I can come back to Hirota-san. Regarding the naming sheet that you just showed us, how's the use of naming sheet different between those planting with seeds and planting without seeds? Can you tell us something? Hirota-san, you are on mute. Can you unmute yourself?
Pardon me. After observing the road slopes in Bhutan that are prone to instability, I found that there were several overhanging sand slopes due to erosion, and I thought it would be possible to prevent erosion in these areas. So I designed to make laminate sheet. But now we are going to do laminate sheet with seed. So now trying now. So it is maybe I think it is good to use laminate sheet soil slope and gravel slope. It is effectively, I think. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we kind of addressed most of the key questions in the Q&A box. If any of the panelists have anything to supplement or like to further elaborate. Otherwise, I would like to express great thanks to all the speakers and the panel, and also the panel for the panel discussion. And we'll move to the final session of today's webinar. Let me invite my colleague, Rebecca Stapleton, who is the co-lead for ADB's Green Roads initiatives, to give us some closing remarks and the notification on the upcoming events. Rebecca, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Yidan. Good afternoon, everybody. I would just first of all like to thank you all, the speakers as well as the audience for such active audience participation today. It's really appreciated. And this webinar was brought to you by the Government of Japan through the Ministry of Environment and the Ministry of Economy and Trade in conjunction with ADB's Green Roads webinar series. And these webinars are anchored in a Green Roads Toolkit, an assessment tool which has been commissioned by the Asian Development Bank and currently being developed by METI and the International Roads Federation. Information from today's webinar, as well as our previous webinar, which was on enhancing network resilience, will be posted on the webinar website, and I've just put that into the chat box. So you can access those presentations as well as you can see the list of upcoming webinars on that website. So these webinars discuss nature positive benefits of green roads, and they highlight those cross-cutting dimensions on decarbonization, climate resilience, water management, biodiversity, disaster risk reduction, construction materials, and inclusive growth. The next webinar will be held on the 4th of April and will focus on integration of climate resilience into road development. So we hope to see you there or at one of the other upcoming Green Roads webinars. And again, I would like to thank you all for your time today. Goodbye.